Splatoon was a very interesting Wii U title. It was a brand new IP and definitely unlike anything we had ever seen from Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't really do the whole shooter genre. You know, there's been instances here and there. You've had games like Metroid Prime Hunters, which had a strong emphasis on online on the DS, and Geist, which was a more adult-themed first-person shooter with third-person elements, but you never really got just a competitive online shooting game from Nintendo. So when Nintendo first showed off Splatoon at E3, it was a very interesting game. A lot of people gravitated towards it. Now, when the game released, it was a bit of a hit or a miss thing in my opinion. I was actually a reviewer of this game for Nintendo Enthusiasts, and I believe I gave the game a 7 or a 7.5, with my main problem being just a general lack of content. I liked what was there, I just wanted more of it. Well, Splatoon 2 has now hit the Nintendo Switch, and I waited a little bit to pick this up, about a week or so, because I don't know, there was just something about it. A lot of people were saying, you know, it was more Splatoon 1.5 than a true sequel to the game. So eventually I decided to pick it up, and that's probably why this video is so late. But I had a lot of people hitting me up saying, hey, we want to know what you think about Splatoon 2. So I'm going to go about it in a different sort of direction. I'm going to go about it more so not just a standard review, but is Splatoon 2 an actual sequel or more just Splatoon 1.5? So let's find out. So like I said, my biggest beef with the original Splatoon was I was the reviewer for the game for Nintendo Enthusiast, and there just wasn't a whole hell of a lot of content. I enjoyed the mechanics of the game, I enjoyed sort of what the game brought to the table, but I just didn't like the fact that there was only 5 maps to play online. And the single player was admittedly pretty weak as well. It was more of just a tutorial on how to play the game. So Splatoon 2, when the Splatfest went up, or the Splat test went up for the game, I definitely tried it out, and for the most part I really liked what I was playing. I felt the game was a little bit slower than its predecessor, but that was a good thing in my opinion. You know, it felt a bit more tactical, a bit more refined, but I wasn't sure if it was a game that I was going to pick up on day one, just because with Splatoon 1 there was just such a lack of content on day one. Ended up being a great game. Nintendo supported that game for a very long time, and the end product of Splatoon 1 was definitely very different than the start of Splatoon 1. But is Splatoon 2 a true sequel, or is it just Splatoon 1.5? Well, you have to look at different categories, I feel, and the first category is the one that everyone will notice first, and that is, of course, graphics. So graphically speaking, it's definitely the same style. You know, I didn't expect Nintendo to really switch things up. Oh god, that was a pun. I didn't really expect Nintendo to change a whole hell of a lot when it came to the graphics of the game, because the graphics were sort of what set the tone for the game. It was lighthearted. You're a kid, now you're a squid, now you're a kid, you're a squid, you're a kid, you're a squid. I'm a grown-ass man playing a game about inking things. This is ridiculous. But I liked the aesthetic in Splatoon 1, and Splatoon 2 I think looks better. It runs a little bit better, everything looks crisper, the lighting is better, and the frame rate is more solid. It's not a huge drastic difference. If you're playing Splatoon 1 and then you jump to Splatoon 2, it's not really that huge of a difference, but if you put them up side by side, I think you could sort of see a level of polish on the Nintendo Switch version of Splatoon 2 that wasn't there in Splatoon 1. So in terms of graphics, I didn't expect Nintendo to do a whole hell of a lot. They honestly didn't do a whole hell of a lot, but in the shooter genre, that's a very common thing. So I would say in terms of graphics, it is a sequel, it is improved, and really that's all that matters. Now, of course, graphics don't matter if gameplay sucks, and if, you know, you're only getting 5 maps and very limited stuff to do in the game, then it really doesn't matter. But looking at the single player aspect of the game, definitely better. And I felt you know, a bigger connection with the story. It didn't feel just like a tutorial. It actually felt like you were accomplishing something. The bosses were more interesting. Admittedly, I have not played through the whole single player aspect yet, but it's definitely better. It's definitely intriguing enough to make me want to keep going back for more. And the fact that there are weapons in the single player that you can get in the online version of the game makes it even better. I do wish that it sort of has that little bit of tutorial stink on it because it always chooses your weapon for you. And I would have liked a little more freedom in that. You know, it's a shooting game. I don't want to have my weapon chosen for me. I want to be able to choose my weapon myself. But for the most part, it's definitely a vast improvement over the first game. It's actually worth playing. It's actually very engaging, whereas the Splatoon original game just didn't have that good of a story, didn't have an interesting narrative, and there was really no reason to continue playing the game in single player. So definitely Splatoon 2 has a much better story. When you look at the online aspect of the game, obviously that is the biggest thing when it comes to Splatoon. Now, unfortunately, I still feel that the content is a bit lacking on day one in terms of maps. So on that aspect, I'm going to say Splatoon 1.5 because there's only 8 maps. A couple of them are redone from the original game, and it's just like, come on, Nintendo. I know you're going to do more maps. I know you're going to have more content for it. You said you're going to support it just like you did the original game. So why not just come out with a couple more maps at the start of the game? Give it a little more variety. You know, it's already gotten to the point of where I've seen the same maps over and over and over again. And while I enjoy them, I enjoy the new maps that they've included. I don't think that there's quite enough of them. So in that aspect, Splatoon 1.5. Now, a big improvement is the addition of different sort of content like Salmon Run. Salmon Run is essentially a horde mode where you are teamed up with 3 other people and you're taking out waves of enemies. Now, this is a very addictive mode. This is a very fun mode and a great improvement to the original Splatoon because outside of the single player and the online where you would just compete against other people, there wasn't much else in terms of that. You did have ranked battles, and this game does feature ranked battles, but it also features league battles as well. When you get to a certain ranking in ranked battles, you can then enter league battles with your friends. So you have league battles, ranked battles, you have the Turf War, which is the standard multiplayer, and Salmon Run. So in terms of online content, a definite improvement over Splatoon 1 and definitely worthy of the sequel moniker. Now, gameplay, gameplay, gameplay. How does it actually play? We've seen that there's better graphics. We've seen that there's more modes. We've seen that there's not quite enough maps for my liking, but that will change. But is the gameplay any better than the first game? Now, I have to say a resounding yes. And on the surface, you won't really see it because it's still the same mechanics. You know, you splash ink on the ground, you swim through the ink, and then you try to take out your enemies. But what they did improve upon are the sub-weapons and the special upgrade weapons that you get when you achieve a certain amount of points and your little bar fills up. There's a much higher variety of stuff here. I love the little jetpack sort of thing where you're flying through the air and shooting down on people and stuff. That's actually a big adjustment from the original game because it allows you to traverse through the map in a completely different way. And the levels, the newer levels, are designed in a way where, you know, there's big firefights in the middle, but there's a lot of side paths too. And you could actually sneak around to enemy territory. You can sneak into their base areas with this sort of stuff. I really like what they did with this. I really like the adjustments that they made to the core gameplay. It's not something that's going to jump out at you, but if you played Splatoon 1 a lot, you will definitely notice these improvements. You will definitely notice these enhancements, and you will definitely notice that, honestly, Splatoon 2 feels like a much more refined game. It's more based on skill this time around. You know, it felt like in Splatoon 1, you could get lucky and, you know, have a really good match even if you weren't a really good player. But the cream of the crop really rises to the top in Splatoon 2. You have to refine your tactics. You have to think forward. You have to work as a unit in order to progress through the game. Now, the final aspect I want to talk about are just intangibles, basic little things. Obviously, being able to take this game with you on the go is amazing. It's absolutely awesome. I actually brought it to work on a slow Saturday, and I have a Wi-Fi, or I have a wireless router set up there so that I could play Switch games. And I was playing Switch Splatoon 2 at work, and it was great. You know, it was definitely pretty cool. One aspect that they did sort of drop the ball in, of course, is the voice chat. Honestly, we're not even going to talk about the whole debacle. It's pretty stupid. Just use Skype, use Discord. There are a million different things. Call your friends on Facebook Messenger and start a group chat. Like, there's so many ways around it. You know, that's what Wood and myself do. We just talk on Skype or talk on Facebook Messenger, and it's a lot easier than using that haphazard app. So, at the end of the day, All that really matters is Splatoon 2 a true sequel to Splatoon 1? Does it take what Splatoon 1 made and make it a better game? A lot of people are saying it's Splatoon 1.5. I'm going to say I'm not in that camp. Now, I could definitely see why some people would feel that way, but to me, Splatoon 2 is a much better package. Sure, the maps might still be a bit limited, but the inclusion of things like League Mode and Salmon Run, better weapons, better graphics, and more refined gameplay make it a vast improvement over the original. As a big fan of the original, eventually, once they put content in it, I am pleasantly surprised with how much fun I've been having with Splatoon 2. I look forward to continually upgrading my character, playing with you guys, playing Splatfest, getting more maps, getting more weapons, getting more stuff, and I think Splatoon 2 has a very bright future for it. It's been selling really well in all territories, and I think it's going to be a huge success. So if you're a Nintendo Switch owner and you're worried that it's just a simple, 1.5 of Splatoon 1, RGT85 says no. RGT85 says it is a true sequel. It improves upon the original in more ways than it doesn't, and it's a really fun game. You should definitely pick it up, and I'm probably going to play some more when I am finished with this video. So that's what I got for you guys. Let me know how you've been enjoying Splatoon 2 in the comments section down below, or if you're waiting for maybe a price drop, or if you feel that Splatoon 2 is actually Splatoon 1.5 and it's not a true sequel, because like I said, I could see that side of the coin. As always, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being subscribed to the channel. Make sure you check out other videos on the channel. Make sure you hit that like button. If you like this shirt, there's a variety of shirts in my shirt store. You can see that in the description box. And if you really like my face, you can check out my Patreon page. I will catch you guys next time. Later.